Starting.
We are live now. Rachel, send you the link.
Everybody,
hope you're
excited.
We're excited.
We apologize
for
the
technical
difficulties in the beginning there.
But we are
live now.
We will be. I hope
everyone can hear Rachel.
Can you hear Rachel? I hope the fans can hear you.
Let's
Only one
way
to
find
find
out.
I mean, hey, we can hear Rachel.
Well,
let me just
do the intro one time for you folks.
Real quick.
I'm Aria Schwartz,
along with
Rachel Galligan, and welcome to the Winsidr Show.
This is a special post-draft live stream where it's all about the W. Tonight we will be joined by a few special guests to help us reflect on all the things going on in the WNBA draft and the upcoming WNBA season. It's been the biggest and first night of the 2021 season so far. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community. Patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for all the work we do covering the W. And don't forget to check out our amazing staff's written content at winsidr.com. And our overseas tracker, it is live now. People are still overseas. Well, we have our first guest, and I'm excited to welcome to the room Destiny Slocum. Give her one moment as she joins us. Thank you so much. Bye. Well, I apologize for everyone because I know the audio's been having some trouble. Don't worry, we will repost it and it will be better. Serious apologies. Not what we wanted to see, not what we wanted to hear, but the audio will be back and it will be better. We got some people, some tech people working on it right now. Very exciting, very exciting stuff going on right now in the WNBA right now. There's a lot. I mean, what were you most shocked about in this draft, Rachel? Was it somebody going higher? Was it somebody going lower? I mean, I don't like this draft blew everyone's mind. It blew everyone's mock draft. It blew everything. What are your thoughts?
I really felt like the number one spot was very close. I mean, I felt like it could have gone either way. A walk or Charlie could have gotten that number one spot. I felt like, especially as the days got closer to draft night, that gap got small. I think a lot of people are surprised. You know, there's a lot of names that fell a lot lower than were anticipated. I mean, pretty much, everyone's been joking on Twitter from what I've been able to see. My head has been spinning. I haven't been able to catch up with much of it or really dissect or analyze what's happened in the draft. But, um, you know, a lot of names fell lower than were expected. And I think a lot of the mock drafts were just, it feels like a waste of time at this point. I can openly admit I did one months ago and I'm like looking at it like, what in the heck? But I think people have to remember there are so many things that go on about behind the scenes, from medical evaluations to those conversations. There's so many things that these coaches, these GMs, know that we don't know, or certain things that jive well that don't jive well. You think about the NFL Combine and certain names that are expected to go certain ways, and the NFL Draft. I mean, and it's very it fluctuates way more than people anticipate, and I think that's what we saw tonight on a really massive scale. To sit here and be able to dissect it in a couple minutes is really tough. But I think, you just look at the top, heel to Chicago Sky. I don't know if I saw her in any of the mock drafts in the first round. I think she's a phenomenal player. I love that pick. I'm not surprised that Chicago, went after her. But then you've got some players that fell a little bit lower. I mean, Dana Evans falling to the second round is a big surprise to me. I'm a huge Dana Evans fan. I think she's an incredible competitor. Her mentality. So that was a big shock for me. I think that's probably the one that shocked me the most. Destiny Slocum. We just had her on. I knew she would be drafted. I was not expecting her to go as early in the second round as she did. But I think it's great. And you heard her right there. I mean, that mentality of that young woman is phenomenal. And I think that's what's carried her to this point. But anyway, what are your thoughts, Ari?
I mean, for me, it was pretty wild. I mean, I can't lie. I was shocked. I was impressed by certain players going higher. And I think this kind of speaks to what a lot of people had talked about coming into the draft. A lot of the talking heads were, excuse my language, hating on, I cleaned my language, hating on what was going, like the depth of this draft class. And I think, yes, it might not have been as top heavy as a lot of us might have wanted to see, as we all expect. But first of all, there was two 19-year-olds drafted in this year's draft. There has been a lot of discussion in all the WNBA world of, oh my God, can these freshmen come in? Can these freshmen not come in? Who has the answer? And there's been a lot of back and forth about this. For me, it's quite clear. Yes, these freshmen can. And I completely agree personally with what Sue Bird said, which is the number one pick is an investment. When you're picking somebody, you are making an investment in that person. And if you feel that player can play at a high level either this year, in a couple years, you're going to take advantage of that and get them on a rookie scale contract. I mean, for me, that's just obvious. Look, was there shocks that certain players dropped? Hell yeah. Dana Evans? I mean, the whole time I'm sitting there like, when's Dana coming? When's Dana coming? When's Dana coming? Finally, she goes.
I mean, she was as high as number 2 or 3 in a lot of the drafts that I saw. For her to fall, I think it's to 22. I mean, that's nobody would have expected that. So that's one of those situations where you do wonder what is going on behind the scenes that we don't necessarily know about for her to have fallen that far. And there's a lot of things people have to remember that these coaches and GMs are aware of that we are not. It's a part of any draft across the board. So I do got to give a shout out as my puppy is throwing things in the background. He'll make an appearance later. I do have to give a shout out to the 19-year-olds, Awak and Raquel Carrera, who were both drafted, both players that I have a lot of experience with on an international scale. Super excited for them. And I think, this draft spoke a lot to the global scale of women's basketball and the skill across the board and how that really transcends just the globe. Carrera is someone that I've probably been the closest with in terms of who I've been able to see and really get to know. And I've been blown away with her and her mentality. At just 19 years old, I mean, she's a cold-blooded killer. I'm just going to be honest. So, can she come over and make an impact right away? Is that definitely an investment for the future? For sure. But a ton of potential there with those young kids.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I'm dubbing this the overseas draft, right? We saw 3 players go fairly early coming from overseas. And
Which makes sense because there's fewer drafts on a domestic prospects on a domestic scale because of the extra 5th year that the NCAA gave. So because of this year, the GMs and coaches had a smaller pool to pick from. So the international players, I think there was a big opportunity there.
Yeah, and teams are going to snatch them up because here's the other thing that you need to understand, and I talk about this a lot with Diamond DeShields. She got so much practice. Pickle. She got so much practice. She got so much ability to train and play against the best in the league. So you can talk about, like in my mind, and I talk about this a lot, the real question of freshmen or college players coming into the majors, into the pros is how is it going to work? How are they going to compete against pro level size players? How are they going to compete day in and day out? And I think you have less of a question of that when you're taking someone who's already competed against greats, who's already competed against the pros at a pro size. So for me, it's quite obvious. I think we're going to see a continuation for the history of the league of the W. I mean, we've seen some greats, Liz Cambage, LJ. I apologize to anybody else I'm blanking on who's an overseas player who got drafted in the WNBA. We've seen it many times over. But there's a lot of positivity to be said for those players who do that. And I mean, we even saw, who was it? I'm blanking on her name, from UConn, who decided to leave UConn and go overseas and start playing professionally. And I think like that, like I can't hate on that. I don't think that's a horrible move to be made.
Yeah, I mean, the landscape of women's basketball across the board is changing. I mean, we could have an entire show just based on that, whether we're talking about the one-time transfer rule, which was just pretty much approved today, and I'm talking about players coming over for a shorter period of time, the amount of transfers that we've seen in the portal. I mean, we could talk about that nonstop. The landscape across the board has changed and what that means and what it looks like, but it's exciting nonetheless. I mean, we're at a period of time where, in my opinion, it's as exciting as it's ever been. I mean, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've had a really crazy few days here with stuff with work, but I feel like I saw more live streams, more articles and mock drafts and hype leading up to this draft than I've seen before. And I think that speaks a lot to the growth. I mean, let's be honest, tonight we had Shams breaking the number 1 pick.
Rachel, I'm gonna cut you off right there and say, well, he might have broke the number 1 pick. You did something that has never been done before in women's basketball history, breaking the news. Like you have Rach bombed all over the place, and it's been amazing to see. And I have loved being a part of it and being your friend by your side while you do it. But I think this shows and the growth of the women's professional game and the WNBA itself specifically, just how big we're getting to the point where, GMs, players, coaches, people around the league are understanding that there is a lot of positive aspects to getting out, getting your message out there, and having media personalities break that news, because it gives you just another, what do they say? Like all news stories, there's like a 24-hour time period for it or whatever, and it just resets every time something breaks. Here's the thing. If you or I break something, the team gets to start that clock right over when they announce it for real. and they get to do a lot more from it. And Rachel, I just want to give you, I don't have flowers with me, but I want to give you some flowers to shout out to Renee Montgomery. I'm going to start throwing some flowers at you like she does on Remotely Renee. Plug that, why not? Because you know what? You did some amazing stuff tonight, and I want to tip my cap to you, throw some flowers to you, and say I'm just happy to be in the shadow of the great, as I like to call her, Hoff, Rachel Galligan.
Listen, it's not about me, it's about women's basketball, and it always has been. That'll always be my mentality. I've watched this game from a very young age, and I have studied how other leagues hype their game up, and I am just trying to bring that to our game. I just happen to be in a position where I'm extremely connected. That's all it is. So it's kind of my way to serve it, and hopefully, like you said, I mean, you break something once, and it gets a ton of hype. Well, if you break something a couple of times and build that up, it's only generating that much more excitement. And so, shout out to Shams, who kind of gave me the courage to do it. I got to give it to him because I wasn't sure I was going to go that direction tonight. I'm going to be honest, but it kind of made me feel less nervous. I definitely let's get back to the draft. I don't like talking about myself. How are you feeling about initial thoughts of who won the draft as we wait for our next guest? Who is our next guest?
Our next guest. Well, I don't want to ruin the plug because I know Look, like we have to be real. A lot of these players, they are super busy, right? Like a lot of stuff's going on right now. They got league calls, they got family members, their phones are blowing up. I mean, everybody remembers the Kennedy Carter when she joined our show last year. And she was having like basically not a house party, but basically a house party. And it was fun. There was honest, and I tweeted this out. And I'm going to say it again. I hope the W continues to do this, not because I understand I'm going to get some backlash. People want to see the players with Kathy. People want to see the players in their beautiful outfits holding up the jerseys. I completely get that. Here's my thing. Best moment of the night was the families around the player, the excitement. Also, as a former child educator, I got to say one of the best moments is seeing the kids who are there who don't care at all what's going on. But I mean, the excitement to see the families. For me, it's really hard to when we look at this draft to say who won this draft, because you can look at it in the sphere of, okay, well, you know, Vegas was able to get this player super late, or LA was able to get this player at a steal, things like that. I mean, even Minnesota continues. Shout out to Minnesota and the New Jersey, but even Minnesota, continues to steal the draft away and getting and the ability to get players at a much higher value than you would expect them to get. So I don't know who necessarily won the draft, but I think that every team for the most part can walk away with kind of puffing their chest out, excited, because every team was able to do things that obviously was in their game plan. Now, I will be the first to tell you, and I'm going to steal some of Rachel's thunder here, there was a lot of trades that were proposed and almost went through that did not go through tonight. And I think that's one of those things that's very similar to the free agency movement. I was getting excited because I feel like as we saw the growth of free agency in the W with all the movement, we're going to, as the years move on, see more and more movement during the draft. And, I'm going to pick this for you, or I'm going to pick this player because I know you want this player, and then deal it because I want a player off your raw. Like, things like that are going to get extremely exciting and extremely interesting. I guess my real question for you is, I mean, if we can say somebody won the draft, we can say someone lost the draft. And I know, to quote many wise people, don't say something if you don't have anything nice to say at all. But I feel like we have to talk about, was there any team that kind of made you go, what, why, who, when?
Probably. Again, I have had very little time to digest what just happened. My head is spinning as much as anybody else out there. I feel like my initial thoughts is, Dallas came away like kids on Christmas morning. I mean, just again, initial thoughts. I feel like from that point on, every other team I questioned, I was like, man, like, what? I just felt like the whole night I was just going, what? As I'm trying to break news. So it wasn't easy. Like I said, haven't been able to really dissect my personal thoughts. I will say the Connecticut Sun got away with a steal. in Dejanay Carrington. I am a huge fan of Carrington. I felt like she was one of the players that could move up and kind of maybe be a sleeper, if you will, on draft night. I think she ended up going 20th. Correct me if I'm wrong. My brain is all over the place. I think
she did go 20th. You're right.
For Connecticut to get Carrington at that point has got to be super exciting. I mean, her mentality is just, she's a savage. I mean, she's a complete pro. She's a competitor. She is ready to just go to bat, ready to go to war. I mean, I really just love her demeanor on the court. I love her competitiveness. I love her edge. She plays with a chip on her shoulder. And, Connecticut, that's a team that, they're playing down numbers this year, because of the situation of the salary cap and signing AT back. So I think that's a huge get for them. I wouldn't be surprised if she's on that roster. So I feel like for Connecticut, a team that didn't even have a first-round pick, huge win for the Sun.
Well, and I also have to say, like, it's interesting because every year it's tough to make a WNBA roster. We know it. It's the hardest professional sports league to make a roster, right? But when you look at this year and you see how a lot of players, we got somebody joining us right now, but it's not going to be so easy for a lot of these well-known players to make a roster. But hey there, we got one of the biggest, if not the most exciting player in this year's draft and from the NCAA tournament. I'm super excited to welcome to the show Erie Mcdonald. How you doing? How's it going? How are you feeling tonight, or I don't know what time zone you're in right now, but it looks sunny, so I'm going to say today.
Yeah, I'm back home in Fresno. I'm doing great. I'm really excited. Honestly, and I can't even explain it. I'm so happy.
I mean, okay, it has been an absolute whirlwind of the last, let's be honest, last month. But let's talk about the last week. I mean, what has that been like for you? And then leading up tonight, you've been drafted as the number 3rd overall pick by the Atlanta Dream. A week ago, you're playing in the NCAA championship game. What has this been like for you?
It means a lot. I'm sorry for my family in the back, but it means a lot. I just, with all this stuff happening, it was a quick turnaround, honestly. I was just talking to coaches, talking to GMs. It was crazy and it was never overwhelming. I embraced everything and I just was in the moment, just in the moment, just embracing it. It's like a dream come true. And I'm finally here. I mean, I'm ready to show out.
I have to say, and I'm sure everyone said this to you, we're very excited to see you on this specific roster. The swag you have, the way you carry yourself. And you probably haven't seen this, but I've been tweeting about you all tournament. I'm not an NCAA person. I'm a WNBA person. And when I saw what you were doing in this tournament, I said, this person, if she joins the Atlanta Dream, I don't want to be on that opposite sideline. I don't want to go against them because it's not just about how you guys attack the paint. It's not just about how you guys shoot. It's your mentality. It's the way you carry yourself, that exuding confidence. And honestly, I think more people should be like you. And we've seen a lot of interviews where, you're built different. You're made different. And I get that, but I'm curious, what does it mean for you to be surrounded by other players who are built different and have that mentality of, I know who I am and I'm confident in me?
Being around the same players that carry the same mentality as me, that's dangerous. And I mean, the energy and the confidence is contagious. And it'll rub off on your teammates. So, I mean, when everybody's confident and they're playing confident, that's a scary team. And so I'm happy. I'm happy to join the Dream. And it's going to be fun this year, and we're going to be scary.
Are you, sorry, real quick, Rachel, are you aware how viral your backdrop for the draft has gone already?
I am not.
Oh, it's blowing up. It's blowing up. People are, you are a meme, show it off. I love it.
Wow.
I've got to ask you, what are your thoughts your initial thoughts about the Dream? What about conversations with a phenomenal coach and friend of mine, Nikki Collin? What have those conversations been like?
It's been crazy, but they've been great. I've been getting to know the coaches, getting to know the organization, just how the team operates, and just trying to see, if our values align. And I found that with Coach Nikki, and she was so easy to talk to. And we actually talked like an hour and 16 minutes. That's how long that we talked. And it was a good conversation.
I'm not surprised.
It was a good conversation. We got to know each other, and hey, they found a gem, and I'm just happy that they picked me, honestly.
Going from Adia Barnes to Nikki Collin, I'm just saying, man, you've got a good lineage of coaches there. That's impressive.
Well, I'm curious, first of all, you are a point guard, and you are like the owner of your team is a point guard also, which is beyond cool. But just for a fun one real quick, I know you've seen all 3 of their jerseys. Which one are you most excited to rock?
I would say I'm excited to rock the blue one. I love my blue, so I'm kind of glad I'm still with a blue team. I got a lot of blue shoes. So I'm just really excited. But all the jerseys were crazy. Like, they were straight fire. But I'm most excited about the blue one.
And I am curious, like, what was Coach saying to you, your college coach, Adia? What was she saying to you as, like, the draft was getting closer? What conversations did you have talking to a player who's been there, done that in preparation for this moment? I mean, the biggest moment of your life.
Coach Barnes just telling me to keep doing my thing. And she was just saying, when I get to training camp, it's okay to mess up, but she must supposedly be you. Shake it off. Show them the area that you displayed at Arizona for 3 years. Show them that. Go show them that. And so I was like, okay, I got you, Coach. And she would just say, just most importantly, telling me to be me. Just be me. Don't try to be like any other player. Just be me. And she just saying, have fun with it.
Have you had a moment or a chance? I know your phone's blowing up there. The family's going wild. It's a great night. You're the lucky one because you're a few hours back, so you get to like keep going for a few more hours than everyone else. But have you had a chance to? Have you been reached out? Have you reached out to any players on your new team? Because I know the world wants to know this.
I have not. I haven't really been looking at my phone. Like, my phone's been blowing up. It's been dead for almost about like 3-4 days. Like, my phone has not been on 100% for like 3-4 days. But once everything winds down, I'll start following my new teammates and stuff on social media, and just probably DM them and reach out to them and just introduce myself.
That's amazing.
We've got like one more question from you. I do want to ask, there's been a lot of debate around draft stocks rising or falling during the NCAA tournament. At the end of the day, these GMs have watched you and studied you for years now. But I want to ask you, you were the player of the tournament, I think, in everyone's eyes. The United States, the world fell in love with you, if they weren't already. I do want to ask, how do you feel your performance in this past year's tournament helped your stock, or do you feel like it maybe didn't as much?
The NCAA tournament helped my stock tremendously. I was just balling out of control, and I was telling my dad, I was like, I had an outer body experience. Like, I was literally like, that wasn't me on the court. Like, I don't know, like, but I was just really having fun, and I hope the world's seen. Like, I was having fun. This is my comfort zone. Like, this is me on the court. Like, it's crazy, and I know it helped my stock. And people had questions about my shooting abilities. I showed them I can step out, I can shoot, and I was pretty much consistent with that throughout the tournament. So my play, it definitely helped me.
Last question before we let you go. Do you know what number you're rocking in Atlanta?
I hope 2 is available. That's been such a, special number. But it's not about the number or the jersey. I'm still gonna do my thing, but I would love to.
Well, you keep going and bring that swag to the W. We love it, and we cannot wait to see you tear it up this season. So God bless.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Go have fun.
Party it up with the fam.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon.
All right, bye.
Wow. I love it. She's one of my favorite players. I get a lot of flack from Rachel for not following the NCAA as much as I should. She rolls her eyes every time I say it. It's true. But here's the thing. You can't get more excited than a person who doesn't know who these players are. Like, obviously I know who the players are because you hear their names all the time and you're in my ear. Ben's in my ear. Chris, like, so many people are in my ear about them. But to hear about them and then watch the players back it up, that to me is like, you know what I mean? Like in the biggest stage, I don't put all the stock in that. But hey, we got another guest coming through. So I'm going to have to let him in. And I don't know if you know who this is, Rachel, but you're about to find out.
Probably don't. I probably have no idea. Oh, Chelsea Ganji.
Hello.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. I couldn't be better right now.
I love the hat. Oh my God, what a crazy night. First off, what are you doing? I mean, we saw you a little bit on ESPN, but what's going on right now? Where are you?
I'm in Arkansas right now. I had like the draft party at the school with my coaches, teammates, and stuff. You guys probably seen that. But I just got home. I really just got off a call. Sorry for being a little late, but
You're fine.
I'm just taking the moment in right now. I think I'll go celebrate a little bit later, but I'm just taking it all in.
Listen, what is Mike Neighbors doing? That's the most important question. Tell him I said hi. Is he staying out of trouble?
Oh, for sure. Brought Bowen up there. I don't know if you've seen him or not, but yeah.
What did tonight mean to you? I mean, I'm sure it's been a whirlwind. Unfortunately, your NCAA tournament run, in my opinion, got cut a little short. I hated to see it for you. I'm a huge fan of yours, but here you are on draft night. You are the number 5 overall pick, as you can tell by the obviously the flat bill. You're rocking it. I love it. Headed to the Dallas Wings. How are you feeling? How have the last few weeks been for you in terms of just this experience?
And, it's just been amazing. I just think about, when I started basketball and setting a dream and, today's the day I actually lived out my dream. And, I couldn't be more excited, more happy. I'm just so thankful for my mom for pushing me through the good and bad and, just waking up and being better than yesterday. These last few weeks, I've just been in the gym, trying to get better, getting used to the ball, working out with Coach Todd every day. I just signed a contract with Jordan Brand, so I actually flew back today.
We saw you on that little yacht. We saw you on that yacht.
Yeah, that was fun. But I actually flew back today. I landed at 2 and then rushed over here.
Amazing.
What a whirlwind event for you.
Hold on. I gotta stop something. People don't realize that for these athletes, they have to go from the Wilson or Spall. I don't even know what the hell they're playing with in college anymore. It's different for each conference. But they have to go from a certain ball to then the WNBA ball, which is completely different. So she's right. And it's a whole other game for the international ball. So getting reps in with the specific ball, that's a big deal.
For sure, that makes a big difference. And just trying to get used to that as much as I can. They just changed, Spalding to Wilson, so we actually got that ball today. And I'll be in the gym tomorrow with my coach at 12 o'clock, trying to get used to that ball. So
That's so funny, and that's definitely something that us people who haven't played professionally or at a high level don't even understand or realize. So I appreciate you, Rachel, and you, Chelsea, for bringing that up. I'm curious, what excites you about this Dallas Wings team? Because it's got to be more than just the cool swag.
Oh, for sure. Well, the first and foremost is just the closest. It's close to home. It's 3.5 hours from my mom. She's never missed a home game, so that means a lot to be that close. Razorback Nation has showed so much support, and just being so close, I know that I'll have a lot of support just around me. And Dallas, they got some great players. Enrique has that scoring mentality just like me, and I can't wait to grow from her. And just understand her mindset and how she looks at things in the WNBA. And there's some other great players as well too. Satu, we got the first and I think 13. So we got all those great players coming in, and I can't wait to get to work with them.
I'm extremely impressed with you. We have done this before and had a few names on that didn't know their WNBA knowledge or history. You're all over it. I'm extremely impressed by you, and I'm not surprised, and I'm very excited that this is a bit of a homecoming for you. I do want to kind of give myself some credit. I completely had Dungy going to the Dallas Wings at 5, so
yes.
Shout out to Dallas Wings for listening to me. I want to ask you, Chelsea, we all know you can score pardon my language, the hell out of the basketball. I've watched you At an SEC tournament, I've watched you in late game situations throw your team on your back and just completely take over games. And I think that is a very unique trait for anyone, any player to have. It's going to be a tough transition heading to the WNBA. It is for everybody. What's your mentality heading into it? What do you think you bring to this Dallas Wings roster?
You know, I'm going in with an open mindset. These are the best players in the world. And, you know, I want to grow from them as much as I can, because I think, you know, what better way to learn than from the people that have been playing it. You know, they have all the knowledge. And so I'm excited, you know, to grow in that way. I think that I bring, you know, passion and resilient. Like, I'm resilient in everything that I do. I'm passionate about everything that I do on and off the court. And I think that shows. And I think that that's something that I'll be able to add to the Wings. And of course, you know, I have a scoring mentality. I can score in different ways. So I think I will be able to contribute in many ways.
I'm curious. A lot of fans watching this, you know, we hear a lot of things, but I'm curious for you. Did you have discussions with the Dallas Wings? Did you have discussions with other teams? What was your experience, you know, getting ready for the draft so you can mentally prepare yourself? Because I can't imagine the anxiety that a draftee has on draft night. Did you know you were going to Dallas? Like, walk us through this.
You know, it's been crazy. You know, I've talked to probably 6 or 7 of the teams, but I had talked to Dallas 4 times. And I talked to them the night before the draft. So I kind of like, I could see Dallas. But then they traded that 7th pick, and, you know, that's where the mock draft had me. So I was like, you know, I don't know. But
listen, we can call the mock drafts out the window because they were all trash.
They were way off for sure. But yeah, I felt good about Dallas, but you never know. There's so many great players.
I mean, yeah. No, I was just going to say, I mean, you guys are a stacked roster. You're a young roster. In fact, I assume you've played a lot of them during your collegiate career. So it's going to be a little bit weird, you know, dressing up with them and going to battle with them. Do you have like a special connection with anybody on this roster, whether it's you're friends with them or it's you remember an AAU game against them or a collegiate game against them? Like, what sticks out in your mind when you think about this roster?
I think about 2 players because I actually played against them. Ty Harris at South Carolina. I actually got to play against her. So, you know, it'd be fun. You know, we both came from the SEC. So it'd be fun to connect with her and actually be on the same team now. And Enrique, I think we played on the same USA team. So, and we went against each other, you know, at USA tryouts and stuff. So it'd be fun to play along with her, you know, grow from her. She's a great player.
Well, Chelsea, we are so excited for you. I feel like this night has been a long time coming. As a big fan of yours and those who followed your career, even from the grassroots AAU days. So
for sure.
Excited for you. Congratulations. Go have fun. We can't wait to see what training camp and this season brings for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Have a good one. Rachel, I just want to bring up something that you brought up about the players. This year, in my mind, is so different with the growth we've seen with the NCAA players knowing much more about the WNBA. And I'm curious for you, you know, you and I have talked about this for years, how important it is and how huge the not only the players, but the fan base for the college game is, and how we need, as the WNBA, the talking heads of the WNBA, whatever you want to call it, we really need to find a way to bring that fan base over to the W. And I truly do believe that having the players more educated is going to be a huge advantage and a huge aid in doing that. Excuse me. I'm curious for you, somebody who's much closer to the NCAA game, what do you think it is? Why are these players that much more knowledgeable?
I don't know, because I felt like last year when we had this show, there were some gaps where I felt like there was a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, here we are a year later, or roughly, and we're seeing that connection. And then it could be social media, it could be the growth of the game, it could be the hype of the game. I mean, I've said all along that I really feel like the NCAA tournament, the women's NCAA tournament, has been the pinnacle of March Madness the last few years, even over the men. Go ahead and quote me on it. I really don't care.
You're right.
So many people say I have enjoyed watching the women's tournament more than I have enjoyed watching the men's. I mean, that's the case for me, but I'm not like your average everyday basketball fan. Obviously, I'm ingrained in women's basketball. So I really feel like there has been a big momentum shift that has started with March Madness, and then that really transcends into the WNBA. Even this year, I think I had tweeted out, there were so many WNBA players on Twitter talking about certain games that were taking place, you know, Elite 8, Sweet 16, Final Four, championship game matchups. And I was like, man, these WNBA players are super invested into the future of the game, right? They're on here talking about it. They're hyped up about it. And I was like, I really hope we have that when the summer comes along on the opposite end, because I do feel like, just from my perspective, there has been a disconnect from the grassroots level of girls basketball. When I say grassroots, I'm talking about from a young age. I mean, you know, junior high level basketball. When these young girls are starting to compete, they go on to high school, they go on to college. There's been a disconnect there with the WNBA. How do I watch it? Where's the consistency of when I can watch it? I think we've gotten a lot better at that in the last couple of years. I think the hype, not just around NCAA, is bigger than ever, but then that transcends over to the WNBA, which we all can agree is as big as it has ever been, entering its 25th season. So I'm kind of rambling with it. I guess what I'm getting at is there has been a disconnect there, but I feel hopeful that gap is being kind of filled, whether it be social media and more outlets. I mean, Slam, you know, Ari Chambers, so many great women are out here. You know, the stuff that we do. I mean, let's not be afraid to hype ourselves up a little bit. You know, we are making this league way more accessible than it has ever been. The league is doing more than it's ever been. I think ESPN and other outlets are feeling a lot of pressure to really show this game, because there's something serious there. I mean, case in point, the jerseys. You know, we don't have to get super intense into the jerseys, but look at the uniforms this year and the opportunity that Nike saw with, you know, the Rebel uniforms and this huge rollout that's taken place. To me, that screams, okay, like there's something big here, and this thing is definitely going in the right direction. And honestly, hopefully leads to expansion and even more exposure of professional women's basketball.
Oh, I completely agree. But I will even one up you and say it's not just the jerseys. We also saw the merchandise that Nike put out in the same reveal as the jerseys. And that's game changer too, because I tweeted about this earlier. I was driving home from a work event earlier today, and I'm driving home, and I see somebody on the side of the road sitting at a coffee table with 3 friends rocking the orange hoodie. And like, when you see that, obviously I'm stopping and I'm saying, I like your sweatshirt, I like your hoodie. Chris reminded me I can't say sweatshirt, I sound loser. I gotta say hoodie. But I mean, that's what I'm talking about, because, and I've been saying this for years, typically when I travel, I like to wear some sort of WNBA, or now I'm just a shameless plug for Winsidr. But I always try and rock some WNBA merch, because I honestly think so many people don't even know the league exists. And just by wearing a shirt, you might click in someone's mind, what is the WNBA? Hey, that logo, that's not the NBA logo. What is that? And then you start to look into it and you learn about it. And I will die on this hill. If you watch a WNBA game, nay, if you go to a WNBA game and tickets are reasonably priced, you will be a fan. There is no way. I mean, that's how I got into it. I didn't grow up knowing about the WNBA as much. I went to a Minnesota Lynx game. I saw Simone Augustus cross someone over, made him look like a fool and drain a shot. And when you see greatness, when you see goatness personified, you can't help but fall in love with it, and you can't help but become a fan and pick a team. I mean, I have lost count of how many times like the Winsidr Twitter account gets tagged in something that's, hey, I'm a new fan. Who should I be a fan for? Who should I root for? And that's the type of stuff that I think, I mean, we live in this bubble where we think the league is growing every year. But I think what we have seen time and time again, and it's been slower, but especially in this past year, is it's no longer our bubble that thinks that. It's the world that knows that, and the haters, they're scared, because we know what's going on. We know where this wave is going. And we got our own wave. We're the WNBA, all right? I'm sorry, I will die on this hill too. You said the NCAA tournament women's was better than the men's. The WNBA is better than the NBA. I will say it. I will say it. I will say it. All right, real quick, Rachel. Few last things before we sign off. People are tired. It's getting late on the East Coast. I know you're some mountain time, if that even exists, but
I gotta take him out to go to the bathroom.
Jersey. Pick one, and I'm saying it now. You cannot say your two hometowns of Indiana, and you cannot say Chicago. So pulling those out. You gotta pick one jersey, one singular jersey.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Phoenix. I love the sunset. I lived in Phoenix too, so I'm gonna pick my third hometown.
You had to.
Phoenix, the sunset, super dope. Love it. Think it completely captures the vibe of the state, in my opinion. But I'm gonna say it regardless. The Stranger Things fever jersey is so exciting. I am a huge fan of it. I think I love it. And okay, I'll give it. I love the DC. I love the Mystics Rise jersey. Super emotional to see that one. I think they did a phenomenal job. All the Rebel jerseys are really fun. From what I've been able to read about so far. There, I just gave you 3. You asked for 1.
Boom. I gotta say, actually, and I've kind of beat this to a pulp, but I was not a fan of the Rise jersey when I first saw it. I went to Dick's Sporting Goods because, as we all know, #JerseyGate. And I gotta say, if what?
Shout out Christina.
Yeah, shout out to Christina. Girls Talk Sports. And if you don't like that jersey, wait till you see it in person and then make up your mind.
I'm just disappointed because here in Denver, like, I couldn't just go jump in the car and go down to Dick's, which is like 2 minutes down the road. And I was just kind of like, I can't go see anything. So I was kind of living vicariously through you that day you told me you were going to Dick's to see what you could find. I have not seen any of them. I noticed the Minnesota one behind you. That was sharp. That was real sharp. It's it's like a. I'm not a musical person.
Okay, so yeah, it's a song sheet. It's a song. It's like I'm not a musical person either. It's a shout out to First Ave. If you're from Minnesota, like, some people might hate on this jersey, shout out to First Ave. It is the music venue. It's across the street from where the Lynx play. It's where Prince got famous. He's got to go. He's looking adorable. People are loving him. I know you have fans who only follow you for your dog, but the cool thing, you can't see it in this, is the very faint stars all over First Ave. If you perform there and you're a big act, they paint a star and write your name on it. And I mean, for someone who's from Minnesota, I mean, that's just gold. I will say though, the Connecticut Sun jerseys. Oh my God. As a redhead, I'm rocking that blue. Like, no question. It just screams championship to me. So Kurt Miller, if you hear this, you can get my address. But real quick, obviously we're going to do a podcast episode that's going to talk more in depthly about our reaction to this, because this is a crazy night. We had some audio issues in the beginning, and I apologize to everybody involved. Don't worry, we'll get it fixed. So you can watch it on replay. The first interview with Destiny Slocum will be fixed. Don't worry. But I just want to say, thinking back on this draft, do you think that there was anybody that you feel, any team that you feel really made a mistake by? And the reason I ask this is because I think that's in a lot of fans' minds right now, where we didn't see a lot of these big name players who projected to go high. We didn't see them go as high. And often when they fall, a lot of fans, I saw it all over Twitter, are asking themselves, why did this player fall? And so I don't want you to talk specifics, but I know you and I had discussed this for like weeks leading to the draft, of how all the mocks, and I'll say, look, even the mocks at Winsidr, we were not, untouchable on this. All right. But all the mocks were off. Why do you think that is how it is?
I think honestly, I think the power of media is incredible. I think a lot of media, and I'm guilty of this myself, you kind of compare and contrast your thoughts up with others, and you start to kind of feel pressure to put things a certain way. And I think if I've taken anything from this draft, it's that moving into 2022, we've got to be able, as media members, to be able to think outside the box a little bit more. It's nearly impossible because we don't have even a fraction of the knowledge that these teams have, right? Of these players, for the amount of time that they have it. So, we're out here shedding light onto a draft and talking about potential names, and why things went down the way they went down tonight is an unknown, for many reasons. But, I guess for me, it's fascinating because we have a long way to go to continue to learn and analyze these women. And I think if nothing else, it speaks to just the amount of talent out there. I mean, so much talent. And I think, in my opinion, you have the Pac-12, two teams in the Pac-12 competing for a national championship. I'm not trying to call anybody out here, but that is not an easy league to watch. It's very hard for me as a women's basketball person to pull up a Pac-12 game and watch it. I live in Denver, Colorado. I do the whole Hulu streaming thing.
Wait, real quick. To clarify, you're not saying it's bad basketball to watch. You're saying
No, I'm not saying it's bad basketball. I'm saying the ability to see it. For me, I get to watch way more ACC, way more SEC. I don't get to watch a ton of Big Ten because it's just difficult for me, and I don't get to watch a ton of Pac-12. And I think that's something we've got to shed light on in terms of conversation of these different leagues, these top-level leagues, these high, mid-major leagues, and how from a national standpoint, what is that exposure like? How accessible is that for fans and media members to watch a league that isn't necessarily in their backyard? I think that has a lot to do with this, in my opinion.
And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I know. I literally, Rachel's like my TV guide. I go, Rachel, tell me what teams to watch, what players to watch.
You need to 7 p.m. tonight, watch this game. And he's like, oh, okay.
I do. To be fair, I very easily give in to pressure from Rachel. But I agree with you. I think I've seen other people complain about it. And I think that's also something that, God willing, hopefully we will see change over the years as it gets bigger. As we see, we see the pull that players like Asia Wilson, right? Taya Cooper, players like this have such a social media pull. And when they're not only bringing you to the W, but also to the NCAA game, we're just going to see, women's basketball stocks is rising right now. And if you're not on the ship at a certain point, we're going to close the ship and we're taking off. So you better get on. All right. You better join the crew.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, I know. I say that. But Rachel, thank you for joining us. Pickle's got to go. It's hilarious because half of the comments on this YouTube video is Pickle a he or a she? Pickle's so cute. It's 4 a.m. in Poland. Pickle is my mood. The people love Pickle. Rachel, we love you. Thank you for what you do for not only Winsidr, but for women's basketball. And Pickle, I love your face right now. Pickle looks tired. We're all tired. Let's call it a night. We'll be back.
We'll talk again soon. Super excited. Love you to death.